Hello and welcome back to Get Great at Maths. I'm here to help you pass your maths exam, so hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to look at keywords, key formulas and how to gain top marks. So let's get ready to get great at maths. In this question we're going to be looking at part B. So section B here, and we're going to be looking at two different methods. The first method is going to be using trial and improvement, and the second method is using iteration. I'm going to show you the trial and improvement method first because that is the easiest way to get the 4 marks on this question. But the iterative method is also very important, and you may need to use it on your actual exam, so you do need to know both methods for your exam. So to start with, we're going to look at the keywords in the question. So you've been given this equation, which is x cubed minus 5x minus 1 equals 0. And for part B, we're looking at finding the solution. Now the word solution means x value. So this value here of x, we've got to work out what it is. So when you cube a number, take away 5 times this number, take away 1, the answer is 0. So what is the solution? What is this x value? And we've got to work out the answer to 1 decimal place. That is 1 digit after the decimal point. You must show you're working on this answer, and that will give you 4 marks for this question. As I said, we're going to show you 2 methods. So to start with, I'm going to give you all the key facts for the trial and improvement method, and then we're going to look at the iteration method in a little bit. So to start with, on trial and improvement, we need to choose different x values. Then you're going to substitute this x value into the equation that is given. In this case here, x cubed minus 5x minus 1. So you're going to substitute in the value that you've chosen. Now, if you look in part A, it is giving you a good idea as to a good starting point. They tell you the solution is between 2 and 3. So that should give you a clue as to which x value to choose to start with. And then we've got to work out an x value to 1 decimal place. So this x value you're going to substitute in, you've got to go to 1 decimal place and give the answer closest to 0. Now, the reason it's closest to 0 is because this equation here is equal to 0. So you pick a value for x between 2 and 3. Then you substitute it in. Is the answer 0? If the answer is 0, perfect, you've got the answer. If the answer isn't 0, you need to work out which answer will give you the answer of 0 correct to 1 decimal place. And this is worth 4 marks. Press pause, have a go at working out the answer. Press play when you're ready to hear the answer. Well done, guys. Great work. Fantastic. Hopefully you've got some answer to 1 decimal place. So you should have a value of x to 1 decimal place. Give me a big thumbs up and comment below if you have got an answer. Fantastic. So to start with, we're going to choose a value between 2 and 3. Now I have chosen 2.5 because it is literally in the middle between 2 and 3. You could have picked any value between 2 and 3. Now if I substitute this value of 2.5 into the equation that is at the top, I've got 2.5 cubed minus 5 times 2.5 minus 1, and the answer we're expecting to see is to be 0. You can see when I substitute 2.5 in, I get 2.125. Now that will give you 1 mark for doing 1 substitution. This answer is too big because I want an answer of 0. So 2.125 is above 0, so this answer is too large. So we need to pick a number smaller than 2.5. So the next number I'm going to choose is 2.2. Substituting 2.2 into this equation, okay, I've got 2.2 cubed minus 5 times 2.2 minus 1 is going to equal minus 1.352, and this will give you your second mark for finding another solution. Now this time the answer we want again to be 0, but minus 1.352 is negative. So this is too small this time. So we now need to pick a number bigger than 2.2, but smaller than 2.5. So I'm going to go 2.3 and see what happens when I do 2.3. So I've now got 2.3 cubed, take away 5 times 2.3, take away 1 is going to equal minus 0.333. You can see that this is still below 0, so this is still too small, but we're closer to 0 than what we have been previously. So next we're going to pick a bigger number, so we're going to pick 2.4. We're going to do exactly the same again for 2.4. So if I substitute in 2.4 cubed, minus 5 times 2.4 minus 1 is going to equal 0.824. And this is bigger than 0, so this answer is too big. So that means to one decimal place, my answer is either going to be 2.3 or 2.4 because one of the answers is too small and the other one is too big. Now we have to choose which one it is going to be. Which one of these answers is closest to 0? Now to help us decide, we're going to choose the number in between 2.3 and 2.4. So we're going to look at the number 2.35. So if I substitute in 2.35 into the equation, I get 2.35 cubed minus 5 times 2.35, take away 1 is equal to 0.227875. Now this is too big. So now because I've gone to 2 decimal places here, you get your third mark for going to 2 decimal places. This answer is too big, so 2.35 is too big, which means the answer for 2.4 is going to be too big. So the answer we're looking for is for 2.3. We're going to round down to the 2.3, and that is your fourth mark. You can see here minus 0.33 is closer than 0.824 to 0. So that's another way of checking whether you've got the right answer. So the answer you need to write on the dotted line is 2.3 to 1 decimal place. That is where you get your 4 marks from. This is the main way the mark scheme gives you the answer, but as I said, I'm going to show you an alternative method which will be very useful for you to be able to know how to do in the exam. For this question, I think the trial and improvement method is the best method, but the iteration is really important that you know and understand how to do iteration, and I'm going to show you how everything can be connected. Now again, looking at the graph of this question, if you typed in the equation x cubed minus 5x minus 1 equals y, you would get a cubic graph appearing like you can see here. The solution is where the graph crosses the x-axis. You can see there are 3 solutions, okay, where the graph crosses the x-axis, but we're only interested in the solution between 2 and 3. So here's 2 and here is 3. We're interested in this solution here, and you can see from my answer I've got 2.3. You can see the graph crosses closer to 2 than it does 3, which is why the answer is 2.3. If you've got any comments and you would like to see more videos on a different topic, just comment below as to what topic you would like the next video to be on. Remember to make sure you've liked and subscribed. Now method 2 is using iteration. Now iteration is a key method to make sure you know how to do on the exam, and it's likely to come up on paper 6. So I'm showing you both types of methods so you know how to do iteration as well as trial and improvement. In this question here I recommend the trial and improvement, but iteration is very, very powerful. It comes up at GCSE, it comes up at A level, and you need to make sure you know how to do iteration. The key facts for iteration are that you need to rearrange to find an iterative formula. Now normally at GCSE this iterative formula is normally given to you. So I will show you how to work out the iterative formula for this question, and you can see how everything combines. Basically we're going to rearrange this equation here to find out our iterative formula. Then we're going to start with an x value. Now we've got to choose this x value, and this is called x0, our initial starting value. Now our starting value could be any value between 2 and 3, or the value 2 or the value 3. It will take you through to the solution for x. Then on your calculator you are going to type 2 and then equals, or whatever value you choose to start with, and equals. Then on the calculator you're going to type in the equation pressing the answer button instead of the x value, and then you're going to press equals, and this will give you the x1 value. You need to write down all the digits at this stage for x1. If you press equals again, this will give you x2, and then we write down all the digits for x2. You can keep repeating this stage and write down all the solutions. Normally you need to write down from x1 to x5, and you keep pressing equals until the digits do not change, so your answer will remain the same, and this is your root alpha. So these are the key facts for iteration, and make sure you know how to do iteration for your exam. Now I'm going to go through the first bit with you for rearranging, because normally in the exam the rearrangement is given to you, and in this case it hasn't been given. So the rearrangement for this equation, we're going to rearrange to find this x here. So I'm going to get rid of the minus 5x, and I'm going to get rid of the negative 1. So the opposite to take away 5x is plus 5x, so I'm going to add 5x to both sides. And the opposite to take away 1 is plus 1, so I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So that means x cubed is going to equal 5x plus 1. And to get rid of the cubed, I'm going to do the cube root. So my x value is 5 times x plus 1 and the cube root of the whole lot of it. Now to write this as an iterative formula, we write the first x as n plus 1 and the second x as xn. This makes it an iterative formula and you will get 1 mark for that in the exam. That is a tricky step to do on your own, and normally on the GCSE paper they give you the iterative form to rearrange that it's been rearranged into. You don't normally have to do that step, which is why method 1 is easier than method 2 in this case. Now I've given you this iterative formula, I want you to have a go at answering the questions. Okay, so from here you're going to start with x equals, you choose a value, follow the steps down here on the right hand side and see if you can get the answer that we got on the last slide of 2.3 to 1 decimal place. And you'll see once we've got to this stage here, it is actually much quicker to work out a value of 2.3 than it was using the first method. Okay, so press pause, have a go at the answer, and then press play when you're ready to hear. Well done. So your starting value I've chosen is x0 equals 2. So I just chose the first value that is up here. So I know it's between 2 and 3, so I'm just going to choose 2. So on your calculator, you need to type in 2 equals. Then you need to press the cube root button on your calculator. 5 answer plus 1 equals, and these are all buttons on your calculator that you're going to press. And then once you've pressed equals, you'll get a value of 2.223980091. And this is your x1 value, the next value. Because if I stuck x0 into here, 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1, the cube root of 11 will give me this answer here of 2.22. So this is my next value, x1, because initially xn was 0. So x0 goes substituted into here. 1 plus 0 is 1. So I've got x1 on the left hand side. So my x1 value is this value here. And that is your second mark. Now all you have to do is press equals again. And if you press equals again, this gives me the next value, which is x2. You need to write down all the digits for x2. So in this case, x2 is equal to 2.297028327. And if you press equals again, that will give you the value for x3. Now you could keep pressing equals lots of times, but you need to make sure that you normally write down the first 4 or 5 solutions. So we've got x1, x2, x3. And you just keep pressing equals and write down the values each time until the digits no longer change. Eventually you should come down to an answer where the roots haven't changed, and my final root, we call the root alpha, is equal to 2.33005874. So you can see to get to the answer, it's actually much quicker using method 2, which is why iteration is really powerful and really good and valid method to get to the answer, because we've got to my answer of 2.33 and to 1 decimal place. This second 3 here stays the same because it's lower than 5. So the 3 in front of it will stay the same. So my answer is 2.3. And that is where the 4th mark comes from for rounding to 2.3. This iterative method is significantly quicker than the first method, which is why the iteration method is generally preferred over the trial and improvement method. But in this case here, when they haven't given you a rearrangement, it does make it slightly harder in the first place to get started on the question. Often on the GCSE exam, they have given you this rearranged formula, this iterative formula. And if you see anything looking like this, then you know you are doing an iteration question to start with. Another clue that is going to be linked to iteration is telling you there's a solution between 2 values. Again, that's another clue or indication that it might be an iterative question. This is a very good method that you need to make sure you know how to do. And as I said, it generally comes up on paper 6, so make sure you know how to do it. If you've got any comments or you want to know more about this, please comment below in the box. You can see on the mark scheme that there are 3 method marks and 1 answer mark, which is dependent on what you got previously. The answer is 2.3. M2 is a method mark, M1 is another method mark, You can see the first method for trial and improvement. Here is our answer for using trial and improvement. Down below, here is the method marks for using the iteration method. It is personal preference as to which way you choose. I would say personally, I think the trial and improvement method is easier in this question, but the iteration method is significantly quicker, especially if they give you the iteration formula in the first place. Remember to like and subscribe so we can all get great at maths together. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment below to let me know what you would like to see in my next video. See you next time!